In this Krakow interview series, we explore how cross-cultural religious literacy, CCRL, is being used around the world as a leadership tool that helps navigate issues such as societal crises, radicalization, peace building, and more. It equips leaders to navigate complex challenges through 3 core competencies: understanding oneself, understanding others, and what we can do together. CCRL also builds 3 essential skills: evaluation, negotiation, and communication. This is practical. This is personal. This is leadership. In this episode, Tetiana Kalinichenko, co-founder of the Ukrainian NGO Dialogue in Action, speaking from her own journey, shaped by the war in Ukraine, brings a unique perspective on how the implementation of CCRL can help to overcome fear and create pathways to peace. Brought to you with support from the Templeton Religion Trust.
Thank you, Tetiana, very much for coming here and participate in CCRL Summit. I'm sure you brought unique perspective of the 3 competences that we discuss in here. And I would like to walk with you now through the CCRL competences that possibly reflected in your work. So can you provide me any maybe stories from your life that you, maybe it was aha moment at some point when you realized that how your faith teaches you to treat others?
One of the first aha moments were in 2014 when annexation of Crimea started, and I joined as a journalist a group of future chaplains that was Greek Catholic, Orthodox, and Protestant pastors coming to militaries just to understand what's going on, what do they need. And through driving for 500 kilometers per day, we've got plenty of time of discussion, and we actually shared some differences and similarities. And I learned much more than through books on theology, understanding how is it used on a practical level, and to understand what the differences, and especially when you meet other Christians, like Protestants, Greek Catholic, what's the difference of understanding of community, hierarchy, power, anything. And also it was a aha moment for me when we've got inter-chaplains group. We've got a 1-year program for Christian chaplains and different power structures. And it was plenty of time for informal speaking in the evening. And it was really fruitful when we shared, and I especially liked and learned a lot about Orthodox at that time, and this concept of not being similar, like your essence and spiritual essence of life goal, not to become similar to God, but it's in Ukrainian like обожнення, so it's like coming too close to God as is possible, to understand, at least on your human perspective, how to be living through example of Jesus, and how you can use it in everywhere. Not like something like in a popular Orthodoxy, just come on Sunday, you exit from the temple, and they are still the same person. It should be like a lifetime perspective. And I find a lot of things in it, and also about loving concept, and especially after a recent text of Patriarch Bartholomew for the life of the world, how we can be Orthodox in modern world and be open-minded, but still keep this mystery of love and understanding of your role in it. And one particular example was in Easter 2014. We were approaching the front line, but we were in Kherson at night on the service. I was there also preaching and reading the Bible in different languages. I thought it was not possible for women in Orthodox tradition, and it was really perfect moment to understand and to feel it. It was really small church, not a lot of people, but so many connectedness in it. And then we went to the front line together with Protestant and Greek Catholic, and we made a mutual service there. And I would say that it's one of the most strong impressions in my life, because all the military guys who were there, they said like, why on earth we get it for the first time when we can sit together and celebrate Easter together? Why we got so many obstacles and conflicts? Why we cannot do it? And we still kept it in secret because of church hierarchy from all the sides. But for me, it was a perfect moment when you understand that actually you're part of big community. And church is not some place. Church is people with whom you do it. And that's joint celebration, and especially when you're really close to the front line, when you're in this middle of death and life, that's exactly what you want to do. To be with those people, to celebrate Easter, and to reflect how it's in everyday life.
Do you have any similar experience with people outside of Christianity?
Yeah, of course, a lot.
Like what?
We've worked a lot with Muslim, with Jewish, with even neo-pagans. And I would say that was more interested for me to be connected to neo-pagan movements, because some of them are ex-Christians. Mm-hmm. So we talked a lot about why they left and what was the difference. And I would say that I still find some similarities, because like no orthodoxy is like pure orthodoxy ideally. And it was interesting to discover how they identify themselves and to live through their experience as well, and to understand you can be not an enemy, but to include them in your community and to live together, because they're still the same Ukrainians, but with different perspective. And it was really something special. And for me, it was another special experience in mosque of Kherson, where we worked. Our imam asked us to do some community work on building relations, because there were imams from Pakistan, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan coming, and they were not connected. So we were those people with another woman colleague, with whom we went to this community and sit, especially in the mosque, in the main hall, and we get permission actually to work with them and to find some similarities. It was a special experience for me, because I learned a lot from inside community, and I understood like it can be really personal, deep relations, and how we see our mystical spiritual perspective, and still a lot of in common. And for me, it was one like lunchtime when we get served from man, and they said like, it's not your job here, you just need to sit and relax and accept what we're doing for you, because we want to serve you. And that's one of the strongest experiences, and we keep these contacts, and it helps me a lot to understand how we can build it above our differences.
You said a lot of in common. You mean theologically or a different way?
Not theologically, a different way of life understanding and living through cultural practices. Because in another group, we've got a discussion of values. And one of the pastors said, like, of course we live through Christian values. Love, being good, being honest, being respectful. And we've got imam in a group. And he said, but sorry, they're not Christian values. They're Muslim values for us. So that's something on a level of human being, that you can be connected. It doesn't mean that like your theology is the same. And it's good. At least you can get knowing and understanding what's going on. But to be connected through these joint experiences and through some rituals, like drinking coffee together, that means a lot. And you can actually meet the other. Not like saying like, are you different from me in such things, but to understand what people mean by that.
You just mentioned it's good to learn about theology of others.
Yes.
It's basically the second CCRL competency,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
To learn about other. And you said it's important. Why?
It's important because we live together. And I believe that as soon as we keep much more multi-religious country, that's our treasure. That's not a problem. Because I see a huge problem if we got like mono-religious. I don't want Ukraine to be fully Orthodox, because I don't think that's a good sign for us to develop ourselves as human beings. Because being a dialogue facilitator, I believe that you develop yourself a lot and you learn more about yourself when you meet the other. And we've got a really good practical exercise for our groups. When you ask to draw the other, pictures are really different and can be different in 1 week. How you imagine this, who is the other in your life now? And then the next step, how you can transform that other to be yours. What's lack? What you can add or maybe change to make it yours. And sometimes one of the pictures of the priest coming was like shadow on the first stage without nothing, like I don't know who the other, but I'm afraid of not knowing. And on the second stage, he added a face. Like if I meet a person, a concrete one, I understand that he or she is not the other anymore. I understand who he or she is.
You being a person of faith, just mentioned that multicultural society is better for Ukraine.
Yeah.
But we see the different trends in the Western world now, in Europe and the United States. So many people are blaming multiculturalism for the problems that they have, for criminal activities, terrorist activities, and something like that. Can you compare and elaborate this mismatch of what you said and what's going on?
Yeah, I would say that it's not a question of homogeneous society, that it has no criminal cases and no bad things. Definitely it has. But it's more easy to blame others and other groups, because it's like, of course, they're refugees, so they are committing crimes. But let us think from the other perspective. Why we created such environment when we've got more crimes and bad things coming. And you cannot put people like in one block of the city, like in some European countries, or especially in some ghetto of refugee camp, and expect them to be a part of your society. When you split them, when you separate, that's a meaningful message. You can do whatever you want. You can bring all humanitarian aid, money, supplies, good. But you get a message that you are not with us. We allow you to stay there, but we don't want you to be with us. But what about when we got family and friends, when we got our neighbors, and how we can live together? And I truly believe like it's impossible to be closed country nowadays and to say like we're homogeneous and we do not accept others. It's good to defend your own identity, but before that you need to understand it. And especially now in Ukraine, I think that's one of the key questions. What does it mean to be Ukrainian? Ukrainian is not like Orthodox with only Slavic relatives speaking Ukrainian and that's all. No, that can be Muslim coming from other countries who became Ukrainian, and what's the special identity understanding, why he or she wants to be a citizen, and what's the added value, what can be in common. And I think that people who are blaming, they don't want to make a step, of course, but they also is a sign of their pain and need for protection. So probably they do not feel safe, and probably they do not get this culture of understanding how to live together. I get an example from my kids, because when you've got only like Slavic kindergarten, when they do not see others, they feel themselves like they need to be protected because they even didn't get experience of meeting the other. But if you get multicultural kindergarten, they don't even get a question why he or she is different. They're different.
It's natural.
But we are friends. So what's the problem? And I really like young generation for that, because they don't even get a question what's the problem with being the other. That's our privilege, and we can learn more. And I can ask some stupid questions. What does it mean to be a boy, girl, or different race? And to understand how it works. And not like separating and saying, if we separate, we are secured. No, that's an illusion.
I'm wondering how this message works in Ukraine now, when Ukraine is under a brutal attack from Russia, and people dying every day in the cities and the bombings. And I traveled to Ukraine during this war time several times, and I observed how many people live in constant stress and trauma. Even if they were not affected directly, they still live in trauma, and kids as well. All those sirens every night bring a lot of stress too in the stories and what they see. How this message of multicultural society, cross-cultural religious literacy, accepted in Ukraine now?
It is well accepted in crisis times. And I saw from the very beginning, from 2014 and 2022 again, we built these networks of interreligious cooperation. And it worked perfectly. When it was like first call on the first day of evacuation, we've got people coming through Muslim community to Protestant church to get overnight. Then Orthodox is coming to go to the border. Then again, someone else catching up. And there was no question. They knew each other, they trusted each other. That was like a perfect. And especially when we've got under ongoing shellings without water, electricity and mobile connection, actually we experienced the most connected times. Because when you've got a fireplace and you come together, it's almost like a tribe time, but you actually experience this neighborhood. And you meet the other and you understand that if you're coming together through that time, it would be impossible to overcome this trust after, because you got something special in it. I would say what's more tricky moment when we've got post-war, almost comfortable time, because when we've got not in crisis, it's Ukrainian specialty, we've got much more conflicts. And we blame not even other like multicultural, but each other from different perspectives. And narratives mean more than ethnicity or religion. And that's the reason why we're working and trying to overcome this culture of conflicts for fighting, because a lot of people are angry. I'm also stressed, I'm also tired, and you never know where is the end. Like, for example, you need to survive for 1 more year. That's any kind of predictability. You don't get it. So when in comfortable times, we need to overcome this fighting for fighting, but through fighting, understanding what we mean by that. That's what we're trying to keep. Because if someone is shouting or attacking, that's a sign of pain. What that pain can teach us, and especially taking into account religious background, how we can overcome. And for me, it's more easy now to work with faith-based background because I understand that every time I reach someone, person gets something on an existential level. It's more complicated for me with my non-religious friends, because sometimes when you ask, like, what's your fundamental values right now? How do you keep yourself? Sometimes they get lost because they don't get this measurement and understanding. And of course, I would say that going together through war times teach us a lot. It was not possible to do some dialogue and peace work we're doing right now before war started. It's a huge pity, but war is a teacher also. And sometimes we got some unique opportunities and developments that were not possible before that. My biggest law is that we need sometimes crisis to get some connections, but it can be different, of course. And our task is to find it, this connection, and to keep it through.
The common stereotype maybe about what war can teach is a hatred, stereotyping, and based on trauma of the war. But you are saying something different now. So you've seen a lot of collaboration between people of different faith for the common good because of the crisis. And actually it's third time I hear it during our series of interview, including our guest from Israel, who basically elaborated the same framework when crisis help people to get united. But it's not, should it be like a guided process, or it happens like by itself, naturally? Because again, some people are not experience any desire for, uniting or understanding or helping. Many people, because of crisis and war and trauma, became isolated and very angry, and of course, because of what's going on. How to cross this line and how to engage those who basically in a very stressful situation, doesn't want to deal with anyone else.
Yeah, crisis helps to overcome resistance. And I would say sometimes it's naturally, but you need really strict circumstances to make it natural. Like, for example, you've got a small military unit and a Christian chaplain, almost all Christian, and one Muslim guy, and you need to find some imam to serve him. That's a unique situation. That's mainly our job to make a little push. Sometimes to bring them in one room, to feed them together, and then say, actually, maybe you can know each other, maybe you got something in common, and then you almost do nothing, because they do it themselves.
Okay.
Sometimes you need more, of course, and to set a mutual goal and to work through it. And I do not believe like in pure contact theory, when you've got conference and you just put people in a big hall, you've got plenary discussions, and then magic should happen. It doesn't happen so much. People need request for that, or they need long-term joint action. So that's our job to create this long-term process and how they can learn from each other. But how crisis helps? Right now we've got a mental health program on supporting it, where like huge amount of requests from different ministers saying like, we work with vulnerable people, we guide them through spiritual aid, but we do not understand how trauma works. How to understand that it's not a good moment for person to work with. We will better send them to psychiatry and then to support again. So we created this program, and because of this crisis, like we created together with Adventists and Orthodox, like 2 academies certified it. I cannot believe it before, like Adventists and Orthodox can cooperate on educational program. It sounds like really strange, but when I approached them and said like, maybe we can do something together, they said, no problem. I said, but you will be criticized. I said, we don't mind. That's wartime and we need to do it. And only because of that, it was possible. And it was possible for all participants to be there. And they do not mind a lot about their differences, but that allow them to ask others, like, because first time we were on Adventist campus, and they didn't get coffee, but they allowed us to bring a coffee machine. And we were like, why it's there? Can you tell us more? Why you don't drink coffee? Even on such basic things. And then they got a lot of, because they got really good medical rehabilitation, physical rehabilitation programs. So they learned. And then you don't do nothing. They visit each other, they cooperate, they exchange practices, and they know, for example, if they need to evacuate someone or help other family, they know whom to reach. And sometimes what really like, when you don't get any kind of possibilities to do something, you can reach different religious communities and fund tremendous amount of different resources. And they do not ask you, like, I need this family to stay overnight. No problem, because we know you and we trust you. And that's a real neighbor serving. And sometimes you just need to create those conditions. And sometimes you go through a really high level of resistance.
Right.
But if you don't meet other in person at all, you don't get this experience. And typical, I don't want to meet anyone, I'm okay with me sitting there, and it can be last for the whole life. But you need to put them in such circumstances, and then they move.
We already run through 1.5 days of the summit. We're concluding basically now. Did you learn anything from the summit that can help you to do your work in Ukraine?
Yeah. Especially on this global partnership. It's really important to hear about different experiences. I would like, of course, to spend one more day about like really storytelling from each participant. Israeli experience is important. It's in our small group because we are in an active phase of war and we coincide a lot. And I would say that when Israeli specialists came to Ukraine to teach on mental health, it was similar and really productive because they understand how to live through the war. And for me, that's a huge request right now, how to engage global partners into a dialogue and relationships. because we lack external point of view. We're under stress all the time. We've got plenty of reflections every day, but we don't get time and resource to reflect deeply on it. And when we've got our partners coming and supporting us, also thinking together with us and reflecting and saying maybe there is a way and we've got this experience, that's the biggest treasure, because actually you can be with them through this process, which is really important. I like this, and it's really gorgeous through the summit to find people who are really doing something on the ground. Because in the typical conferences, you've got people who are really good in speaking and presenting. But when you ask, like, what actually you did, they submitted a paper and they wrote a book. That's really important as well. But to get people who actually work on the ground, that's the biggest treasure for me.
You said you will be benefited by external partners coming to Ukraine and help you, but I'm sure those external partners will be very much benefited by doing this work alongside with you. Because what the Ukrainian is going through now, and you partially described the pressure which led to the relationships and to doing together for the common good, it's and the way you actually live through the stress in everyday life under the current circumstances, it's very valuable to learn from any outside partners who can work together with you. So it's not one-way road. It's
and now we're shifting this perspective, because we've got different international partners who are already working with us through years, and all the time we're doing something in Ukraine. And last time when we shared our experience, I said, like, we don't get it in Netherlands, for example. One of our partners, Dutch churches, and they said, like, we never did it for us. And I said, like, we are really willing to contribute, because please use our experience. We do not want you to come through it, because it's awful, it's a tragedy, but use our experience to be prepared. Like, for example, we've got really like crisis intervention mechanisms that can work. We've got some overcoming stress mechanism that works, and we understand how to reflect and be flexible and dynamic in changes. So we can learn that with you together. And when I'm leading, sometimes we've got mixed groups of international ministers and Ukrainian ministers. That's really gorgeous, because you can learn from different sides, and it's not about just listening to each other, but coming through some role playing, some simulation game, some working in pairs and big group and different dynamics. That's our job to organize, but it's really fruitful for both. And we would be happy to share, because we checked almost all methodologies. And you really understand whether it's working just in one day. And it's also from my experience, because I got my peace building education in Balkans. And my motivation was negative, because I saw a situation on 20 years after the end of the war. And my main understanding from that was, I don't want this to be in Ukraine, because they're like stuck. Some people didn't change windows after shooting for 20 years, because they went for government to come and to change. That's not the model we should apply. And now staying in Bucha district and also helping local community volunteering, seeing how we are overcoming, I understand that we're learning a lot, but we need to learn from our partners how to live in comfort then. So just to overcome crisis, understand that living in comfort, when you don't need to rush and make crisis interventions, it's good too. Because it was one of our friends' conclusion from Scotland when he spent some time in Ukraine, like, you really know how to survive, but you don't know how to live. So I really dream for the country to learn how to live.
And I wish you that too.
Yeah, thank you.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your time, and I also hope the rest of the summit will be successful and interesting for you. Thank you.
Definitely. Thanks a lot.